I'd now like to invite our panelists to the stage for our next panel, Growing the Entrepreneurial Ecosystem. If they could come up, Kim Norbuta, who works at Hewlett-Packard and NACCE as the HP Life National Program Manager. She's also the owner of Sideline Solutions. Janice Washington, CPA, State Director, Arizona Small Business Development Center. Janice heads a network of 26 locations servicing 4,000 businesses annually and has an MBA from Arizona State University and is committed to small businesses. Jeff Saville is the Executive Director for the Center of Entrepreneurial Innovation, a business incubator that supports biotechnology, medical device, software development, and renewable energy. I hope that you are registered for his tour because it's fantastic. Excellent. Oh, and Justin Renfro, the manager of growth for the Kiva Zip program in the United States. He's responsible for building high-impact partnerships with organizations that support financially excluded entrepreneurs. Heather ran an amazing session yesterday with the Department of Commerce, ARC, Kaufman and Carnegie, and the White House makers, and it was also a high-level discussion of the ecosystem. In this session, we'll have a similar conversation, but we're going to work with the folks on the ground that actually, are in the weeds and are working to get things done. And so we're going to discuss the ecosystem, the value of mapping it, and the components of the ecosystem and how to collaborate. I cannot say enough this conference about colliding and collaborating and building that crazy quilt that Dr. Sarasvathy talks about in the entrepreneurial mindset. Just as a little bit of level setting, I've been in the small business space for the last 15 years, and so as a veteran in this space, I'm really excited about one of the positive trends that I've seen more recently, which actually is collaboration in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. When I was doing this work, it was about counting, and if I could count a client, I'd have to take it away from you because it wouldn't count towards my number, and it was a very competitive environment. So I'm delighted that organizations support small businesses and high-growth startups are actually working together to grow those services to small businesses and entrepreneurs. And I think as a result of this collaboration, we're seeing small business and startups are launching and growing and actually making a difference in the economy, so I'm delighted. And this panel here actually represents those collaboration. HP Life works with Kiva to help training, the Arizona Small Business Development System works with CEI to provide technical assistance to high-growth businesses as well as their students. The student incubator in the college is actually located in the SBDC, and then HP Life partners with Arizona SBDCs to provide online training. So there's a lot of rich collaborations. Janice, to start us off, let's define our terms. How would you define an entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Thank you, Karen Michelle. I must admit, when you first asked me that question, I, of course, said yes, because how do you say no to Karen Michelle? And then I kind of panicked because I thought, ecosystem, I'm sure I studied that somewhere. It's probably has something to do with the rainforest, right, or something like that. And then I thought I'm going to be speaking to a group of educators, and not only that, administrators in the educational field. So I thought I better do some prep work here. So I actually do have some definitions here. I'll give you what I found in the research, and then I'll give you my own spin on that. An article in the Harvard Business Review states entrepreneurs are most successful when they have access to the human, financial, and professional resources they need and operate in an environment in which governmental policies encourage and safeguard entrepreneurs. Is that educational enough for everybody? Because I'm out of breath just saying it. So to kind of balance that out, then I looked at the Urban Dictionary, which says the habitat in which an entrepreneurial dream can become a reality. And that sounds good too. But the way I look at it is kind of tied to what I found when I looked in my reference source now, dictionary.com. What is an ecosystem? It is a system that, any system of interconnections and interactive parts. Interconnection and interactive parts. And so basically that's simply everyone and every organization that helps make a small business successful. That's my definition, and that's what we live by every day. That's why I had to look it up. Every entrepreneurial ecosystem is unique. It's unique to your community. So what's developed and what exists in Arizona may not work so hot in New York. So you need to find out what you have to work with. Each entity brings something unique to the table, and everybody has all the pieces that are needed because, again, it's whatever it takes to make an entrepreneur successful. We have the capability in this very room to increase the breadth and depth of our entrepreneurial ecosystems. And basically, you do that by multiplying supporting partnerships on behalf of new entrepreneurs. That's how you really do it. If we do it right, there should not be one single point of entry into this ecosystem. We should be so integrated so that no matter where the entrepreneur comes to us for assistance, we can make sure they get to the best place for assistance.
Excellent.
As you map what's going on in your areas, would you also want to ask yourself, what is the unique value added that you would bring to the table to assist the entrepreneurs? What is your unique value added, and how can you best help support the system?
Janice, when you say UMAP, I wonder, Kim, because you've been working with different players of the ecosystem, like who are we mapping? Who do we see that is part of the map that Janice was talking about?
Right, that's a really good question, Karen Michelle. When I was asked to participate on this panel, I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to talk to a lot of educators and administrators. I was thinking the same thing as Janice. And I was like, well, I'm just on the ground. I come to all of your colleges. I've been traveling to community college, small business centers for the last 10 years in the entrepreneurship space. And so I was thinking, well, I just go, and what can I bring to this conversation? And I think that's what I can bring, is helping build this interconnectivity between your communities. So I don't have a clear answer for Karen Michelle, and I've thought a lot about it. But what I do have for you is something that you need to do, an activity that you need to think about on the plane ride home or when you get back to your office. Think about entrepreneurship in your individual community, because as I've gone to different communities, it's different everywhere. So go back and start to make a list. As I've worked with HP Life, I've gone to places, and it is a community college, it is a small business development center, it is your workforce centers, it's your Department of Educations, it's your CTO organizations, it's your NGOs. So there's so much going on in each community. And then the one that everyone always forgets, it's your own community college. Are you teaching entrepreneurship in a silo? Because that's not what entrepreneurship should be. You need to be reaching out to your well-being departments, to your hospitality departments. So it's across the campus. So when you're making that list, think about, start at your own school and figure out your ecosystem in your school, and then try to broaden that out to your community.
Yeah, Justin, I know you at Kiva Zip are partnering more with the ecosystem. Small business financing has been a part of it, but I think you take a unique angle in how you partner with different partners through the ecosystem. So who do you see in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, the interconnectivity?
Yeah, well, when you look at the resources that an entrepreneur needs to be successful, you look at training, you look at mentorship, and you look at financing. And, just at this table, we've got the training that HP provides, the mentorship that the Small Business Development Center provides, and the funding that Kiva Zip provides. So just on this panel, you can see what that makeup of an ecosystem looks like. Kiva Zip is particularly interesting in, we just provide funding, and that is our goal, to support entrepreneurs with capital. But we recognize that need to train and develop entrepreneurs. So the way in which we approach the entrepreneurial ecosystem is by this very vast network of organizations and individuals that we call trustees. And trustees are organizations that work directly with entrepreneurs and refer them to us. And I think the one thing that I've learned is that it's not just the small business development centers or the SCORE advisors or the community colleges that are providing this assistance. We found that churches are supporting entrepreneurship, and grocery stores are supporting entrepreneurship, and farmers markets and student groups. And We see this huge, vast range of different types of organizations and individuals that are contributing to that ecosystem. And Kiva Zip, being a technology platform, kind of allows anyone in any part of the US to come on board and say, yes, I know of an entrepreneur that can be successful, and I've worked with them, and I believe in them, I understand their business, and I know how Kiva Zip can be helpful. So I think that's kind of what that ecosystem looks like in our community.
Yeah, it's like you said before in your definition, Janice, it's anyone that's helping in that system. So Jeff, I think that from my history, the incubators are a more recent component of, and very popular component of the ecosystem, I would say the last 5 years. What do you say that their role in the system is, and how do you actually partner with community colleges and small business development centers?
So first of all, I'm sitting up here on this panel going, how did I get here?
Yeah.
So some really bright people up here. So glad to be here. I think the biggest thing that for a community college to approach an incubator is, first of all, get out from behind your desk and approach the incubator manager or the entrepreneurship center and really ask them, what are their gaps? What are their clients of the programs that they need right then and there? So I made a quick little list of what types of resources that community colleges can provide an incubator and support that ecosystem. So number one was the student research teams. You know, marketing students, engineering type students, they have enormous amounts of brain power that they can provide startups. Justin had mentioned that, you know, startups need a lot of different things. That truly is one of the best ways that a community college, an entrepreneurship instructor at a community college can go into that incubator and say, hey, I've got student research teams that I will give, you know, for an entire semester to that particular incubator client and really get some awesome results. SolidWorks students, CNC machine operators, marketing students, business students, programmers. I can't tell you how much time I spend in our incubator looking for programmers. It's enormous. It's a huge gap right now. And everybody in this room right now is creating programmers. That's huge. So my thing is just approach the incubator, accelerator, co-working space, and just figure out what their needs are and connect the students to those programs.
Yeah, it's funny. It sort of maps a little bit back to this morning's panel where Diana Kander gave that example about how do you teach basketball. You don't give your kid a book, you actually give them a ball. It's like, how do you teach students about entrepreneurship, marketing students, research students? You actually throw them in with an entrepreneur and sort of give them the work that helps.
Just throw them into it. That's the best way to learn.
Yeah, ambiguity was the big theme this morning. So again, I think we know what the ecosystem is. We know who's sort of in the ecosystem. What are ways that you see folks collaborating, different partners working together for small businesses? Justin, I know that with Kiva Zip that you actually have trustee models, which almost mandates partnerships. Like, how do you see partnerships in the ecosystem between different entities?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk about it through the scope of Kiva Zip because that's what I'm doing. And I'll give you a few examples. So, one partnership is with Etsy, where Etsy is supporting entrepreneurs by creating a platform in which they can sell their goods. And by them bringing them to Kiva Zip, now they're selling their goods on Etsy. They can get financing to buy inventory or to expand their product lines or to help with marketing or build a website or get into a retail location. And then we can take something like HP Life and say, check out this resource that is supporting, that can help you develop your business and your business plan and kind of get your ducks in a row. So that's one example of how we've seen partnerships come into play is we take those resources that are out there that are available to entrepreneurs, we're feeding it to our ecosystem, and we're looking for both kind of hyper-local, you think about a church in Oakland that's only working with this micro-community in Oakland. They're coming to Kiva Zip for financing, but they're also connecting with other trustees that we have in Oakland that are supporting small business owners. So for us, we very much take a community view. We want to be a connector, and I think connecting entrepreneurs to resources and our trustees to resources is a very important part of our role in the entrepreneurial ecosystem across the U.S. Because we're coming across those resources and we want to share them as often as we can. And we want to foster that community of collaboration, both with everybody in the room and everyone else that's working with and supporting entrepreneurs. And I think that mindset of collaboration is really, really important. And those people that have that mindset are the ones that get the most out of what they're doing.
Yeah. Kim, I know that you're sort of seeing collaboration with different traditional entities like Skills USA, faculty, HP Life. How do you see people partnering?
I think it's important before you decide to partner or decide to really build your ecosystems to know what you're bringing to the table. What is your brand? What is your entrepreneurial outreach that you're doing? What is your organization known for? Because right here in Arizona, I've worked with Janice, and I've also worked with the Maricopa system with some of their community online learning programs. And I think one of the things we learned working together was we needed to figure out what the roles of the different individuals were. So when you're working in an entrepreneurial ecosystem, people are afraid you're going to step on each other's toes, which when you're truly working in a supported ecosystem, you need to know what you're bringing to the table. So when we worked with the Small Business Center and the colleges were like, okay, well, we do curriculum. This is what we're really good at. We're good at curriculum training. And Janice's group came in and said, well, we're really good at taking them after they've gotten out of school or bringing in those students that maybe didn't get the entrepreneurship training they needed and working with them. And that's how you really start to build strong ecosystems by looking at what your strengths are and what your values are that you're doing, and then building the system around it. There's no one group is the leader, we're in charge of everything, and we're building out our ecosystem. It's that you're working together as a community.
Janice, I know that, go ahead.
Can I just add one quick thing? I think it's important, like you were saying, making sure the missions and the values all align prior to that partnership commencing. And if you think about that, that's pretty profound that, it's going to prolong that partnership, and it's also going to make that partnership much more solid.
Yeah, I think that's right. No, I think, and it's good that you mentioned that, because I was just going to ask Janice, I know that the SBDCs partner with the incubator, and so how did that partnership go, and where's the sort of synergies in that?
We, in addition to what everybody said, which I absolutely agree with, we determined a number of years ago that we wanted to make sure that whatever we were doing was in alignment with the economic development priorities of our state.
Right.
And so we look for partners who also are tuned in to that. And then we step back, as Kim was saying, to say, how can we add value to what's going on? And we identified these statewide initiatives. One of them is statewide incubator assistance. So we actually said that regardless of how a business starts or where it starts, they're going to need the type of technical assistance that we provide. And we wanted to make sure that the incubator efforts that are going on around the state that are very important and very varied around the state are well supported. So if it's a biosciences incubator like CEI, we were fortunate enough to bring a business analyst in who is very well versed in that area. And I would say, okay. So I would say he's added a lot of value to that, and we've been able to achieve some successes. We won't always be able to hire somebody of that caliber, but it was very, very fortunate that we are. But the focus of the CEI incubator on biosciences is very different than the incubator in the city of Maricopa or the city of Queen Creek or NACCE in Flagstaff necessarily. So each incubator has its own priorities and flavor because it's reflective of what that community needs. And so our role as a statewide organization is to make sure that we provide a good technical assistance business complement to that, because the goal, again, is to help small businesses be successful.
Excellent. And Jeff, I know you partner not only with the colleges, but many other organizations throughout your ecosystem. Who are the different kinds of partners that you are partnering with?
So we obviously partner with the National Business Incubation Association on an international level. They're very instrumental in the success of our incubator. But I want to back up just a quick second, and I can't remember who said it in the last couple of days because it's all been a little bit of a blur for me at my first NACCE conference. But somebody said that nobody owns the ecosystem. Who said that? Do you remember? Was it you, Heather?
I don't know.
It was Heather, yeah. That's yeah, so to me that's very interesting because I think my approach for the last 7 years that I've been an incubator manager I want to own part of that system. But really, I'm just a contributor to that system, the ecosystem. So to me, that was very good, Heather. I'm glad you brought that up. But, so as we establish our partnerships, I think it's important that we look at the gaps of the ecosystem and then ask yourself, what can you do to contribute to that system, the overall system? So I do that on a daily basis, it feels like, but we've partnered with, a big contributor to our ecosystem here locally is an organization called SeedSpot. They do, they're an incubator, but they focus on social entrepreneurship, and we partner very, very closely with them. We have a local co-working space called Cahoots. It's a phenomenal co-working space, and we partner very closely with them. So it's our job to support the entrepreneurs. It's not to look good up on stages like this. At the end of the day, it's all about the entrepreneurs that we support. They're the ones taking all that risk. I get to go home at night and be with my family and hang out. I don't have to make a payroll. Well, I kind of do, don't I, Susie? So, but really at the end of the day, they're managing all that risk, and so it's important that we're partnering with the right people at the right time.
Excellent. So in part of partnership, you're trying to ask for the ask. So I don't know if everyone was here for the Monday morning session, which was incredibly powerful with Dr. Sarasvathy, where folks actually came on stage, put their ask out, and it seemed very well received. I know that Roswell even had to order a meeting room because they had so many people reaching out to them and they wanted to meet with them on site. So I guess I'm going to ask you guys, in your experience with sort of making an ask, and I think you are even making an ask in partnership, even though it's not a money transaction, how do you sort of approach your ask, and how do you what are the process that you think through as you begin to think about how I want to partner with someone?
Well, I can start with that because I'm asking people all the time to do things for me. What I always try to find what the need is, what's the pain point, and how can I help. So when I am pitching somebody for the first time about HP Life specifically, because I know I've probably talked to almost everyone in this room, at some point to just take a look at HP Life and see what it will do for you. I think that's one of the biggest things in a partnership is not what's in it for me. I don't want you to use something that's not going to work for you. But my thing is always, what can I do to help you educate your students or help your small business owners? So the ask in my world is just trying to link it back to what you need in your organizations.
One of the many exciting things about this job for me is that by design, it is very necessary to collaborate and partner with a lot of people, leverage efforts and resources. And it's exciting to me to be always on the lookout for opportunities to do that. It is, what can we bring to the table? How can we add value? How can we take our resources, which sometimes, vary, and sometimes seem not enough, and stretch it? And so instead of just kind of holding on to this little thing that we can do based on the amount of money that we have, what could we do if we, as Jeff said, broke down some silos and checked our egos at the door, so to speak, and how can we collaborate together and have something like this instead of something like this? And so it's really just always being on the lookout for the opportunities, and as you spend the time and invest the time and figure out where you want to go strategically and why you want to go and what have you, your mind gets tuned in to look out for those opportunities because you already know where you're headed. You know what you are supposed to do. We know why we do this work. It's about more than just that individual that's sitting in front of you. It's about helping them make a living if that's what they want to do as an entrepreneur. It's about helping them hire people if that's what they want to do, and then those people are able to support their families, stronger communities, stronger states. That's the work that we do and a stronger nation, really. And so when you meet other people who are also tuned into that, those are just another set of opportunities, and my attitude is you never know.
So, do you want me?
No, go for it.
So my version of the ask is pretty simple. We have a lot of really awesome stories to tell with our clients, with our student incubator. And so, I mean, what this couple over here is doing is just amazing. I'm a huge foodie, number one, but it's really cool how you guys have really gotten passionate about it and done that. So again, my ask looks like, you know, let's say they were a technology-based company, and I recently just did this for one of our clients, and they were spending literally probably $1,500 to $2,000 a month on Amazon Web Services. So what I did, I just picked up the phone and called Amazon, and it wasn't that easy, but it was, you know, it was my job, again, to go out and provide and do the ask for free Amazon Web Services. I was able to, with my great team that I have, we were able to get in front of Amazon and be a part of their incubator program, which I had no clue about. And now our clients are getting free $15,000 worth of Amazon Web Services. It was just an awesome thing that happened. And then most recently, most recent ask that I had, and we don't just do monetary asks, which we do, because Susie's looking at me right now saying, where's the monetary ask? You know, we do that. But for me, it's, we recently built a competitive intelligence lab at CEI. And I won't get into what that is, but really we needed to partner with a technology-based company. And I reached out to HubSpot, which is a Boston-based company. It's a phenomenal marketing platform, amazing marketing platform. Really they just went public last week. And I just reached out to them. Come to find out, they got an incubator program. And so now our clients of the student program and the clients of CEI also have access to HubSpot accounts for $80 a month, which they're normally $800 a month. So, so those are my version of the asks, so that we have.
Literally asking.
Yeah, you gotta ask.
Yeah. Justin, how do you ask?
Yeah, that last point's important. You got to ask, because I don't think that I'm always asking. That's pretty much my job. Is I'm out there asking people to come to Kiva Zip and send us great entrepreneurs. Very passionate about what we're doing, and we've got a very easy way for anybody to come on to Kiva Zip and collaborate with us. What I would like to see more of is people coming to me, because we've got these 1,000 entrepreneurs, and there's so many resources out there, and we want to help our entrepreneurs. So I think, you know, around the ask, and this is something that you got to just put it out there and see, you know, how you can add value and what value you can get. So kind of understanding that balance and being proactive in asking for it and approaching it and doing it is half the battle.
Yeah,
Can I ask you to help us at CEI?
Please. Yes.
I think, yeah. So I think what you said in the beginning is like you, or someone said at the end, maybe it was Jeff, like, I don't know, maybe it was you. Someone said you have to ask, right? Like you have to keep on asking. We were talking about this at lunch yesterday with Joe and Chuck and Jason. And we were talking about, can you teach the ask? And you can teach the ask, but then my question really is like, can you teach the hustle, the sales hustle, right? Because what's involved in the hustle is motion, that there's multiple asks and ask and ask and ask, and you learn from that ask. But I think with the ask, yeah, you have to ask, you have to understand your value prop, put it in a story, right? All of our award winners today are stories, and really impactful of the work that community colleges do. And then I think, you know, what was implied in what you were saying, and Jeff, is the right person. And I think this is what Janice and Kim were saying before, that the values, having to bring with someone with the right values. I used to work at American Express Open, which helps small businesses grow. And I would have folks, you know, but I gave money, I was lucky, and I had people wanting me to sponsor their soccer team. And it's like, I have a soccer team, you have a soccer team, it's wonderful, but we didn't see the same values. My goal is to help small businesses grow, and so how do you get to the right person with the right values, right? And so I think that's what happened in Amazon, that you were able to find the person with the right values. And I think it's also good to mention that there's and maybe this is part of the process, and maybe I guess I'll put it out as a question there. that the ask isn't always monetary, right? Like I was trying to partner with an organization while I'm here at NACCE, and I won't say who they are, and I was like, what do you think it would take to partner together? And they're like, I don't know, like $1 million. Do you know what the size of my budget is? One, do you know what the size of my budget is? So it's the wrong question to ask, because that would give all my money to you. But I'm like, really? Do you really need $1 million? They're like, oh no, I could probably do it for like $250,000. I was like, really? Like, do you really? Can't we just put a call together and then sort of figure things out? And so I guess I would ask the team, that anyone on the panel wants to answer, like, when you partnered, how do you, is there a monetary ask, and do you have to, it can be a sort of swapping of resources, and what have you found that's, useful in your work?
I think one thing that's, with Kiva Zip, there's not really a lot of asking for monetary support, at least in not my role, but I think the challenge is asking for time. Because that's something that's very limited. I work 50 hours a week, and I only have so much time and people and stuff that I can do. So, yeah, I don't know what my point was in saying that, but I think we should factor in time
$1
too.
million.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. That we could all partner together, but at some point we have to prioritize, because we're one person. And although I have been saying that they clone humans through the 3D printers at CEI, they do not. So yeah, we can't.
We're working on that.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah. Were you going to say something, Janice?
No, I was just saying for us, obviously we need money to fund our organization and what have you, but through our partnership with the community college, and SBDC is a nationwide organization, so you all have them in your states. Many of them are hosted by universities and sometimes governor's offices and departments of commerce, but you all have SBDCs in your state. Here in Arizona, our lead center is Maricopa Community College District. Most of our hosts are community college districts, and we love that, because by design, the community colleges are geared towards the local community and what's going on. And so we're able to, again, get free office space, in-kind office space from them, so that's an ask. And as we have expanded our partnership, it's become important to us to really stretch those dollars that we do have. And so we actually have business analysts that work out of incubator offices to be accessible to those incubator clients. And one of my best stretch the dollar stories is what we do with CEI, because we had an office for our Maricopa Center, which was on Central Avenue, very high rent district. And when the incubator was built at Gateway, that freed up some space on the Gateway College campus. We made an arrangement with them. We worked a deal with them, and we made an offer that they couldn't refuse to allow us to use that space. But then they made a deal with us and made an offer that we couldn't refuse. So now that you don't have to pay that rent money, why don't you hire a business analyst that can come over? And so as a result, we were able to take some temporary money where we brought in this business analyst that has been so helpful there. And we hired him on a full-time basis. And so that's redeployment of resources.
Right.
But again, it expanded the effect of those dollars. And because those dollars were literally going to pay for office space. Now we not only have a lot more office space, but we have an individual with a specialized expertise that we can use.
So I work with Karen Michelle very closely, and so I'm a very action-oriented person, because I have to be, because she's going 100 miles an hour constantly. But I think one of the big things with an ask as well is the more specific you are with what you're asking for, the greater the opportunity of getting a yes. So just being very clear of what it is, and as you move forward with the ideas that you have, and you can only be more specific when you know who you are, who your brand is. So figure out who you are, and I'm giving you many action items. So go home, figure out who you are, and then start to build your ecosystem by making very specific asks of those around you to join together to create a strong system.
That's great. I think that was very tweetable, too.
Thank you. I'll get on that. I got to go tweet now.
So I think, when we talk about the ask, and Saras talks about building your co-creating and building your crazy quilt, sort of getting buy-in from people to be part of your partners. I think in this panel we've done a good job naming sort of the traditional partners in an ecosystem, right? Educators, trainers, mentors, incubators, financiers. How do you, and who would you think of as either sort of a non-traditional partner in the entrepreneurship space, or how would you go about finding people who are outside of the traditional ecosystem? Like, I think, Justin, that the EATSE partnership makes total sense that you've said it, but I don't think I would have thought of it before. Like, what's the process that we go to think about new partnerships, or who's an interesting partner you can name that's sort of non-traditional?
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind is this organization called MicroMentor. Have you heard of them?
Say a little bit more. I think there's...
Yeah, MicroMentor is this organization out of Portland. They're hosted out of Mercy Corps Northwest. And they'll take an entrepreneur and connect them with a mentor that is in their industry or has done something similar to them. They've been really, really useful for us in us sending them clients that are benefiting from their services, and us getting clients from them where we let their mentors know about Kiva Zip, and they can then refer them to Kiva Zip. And their ability to create I think they have 10,000 mentors or something, so it's kind of something for everyone. And that's been one particular that's been really, really
Are they a
useful.
not-for-profit, or is there a service component? Or?
Yeah, they're a nonprofit. Oh. It's out of Mercy Corps Northwest. That's a nonprofit, and they're based in Portland. So it's a program of Mercy Corps Northwest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
For us, I mean, this may still fit in the traditional realm, but one of the reasons why my definition of the entrepreneurial ecosystem is so broad, because I want to open the door for non-traditional partners. But anybody who really cares about the success of small business and they're passionate about the work, and they really see the larger role, or people that we want to talk to. Because what I learned in my workforce experience prior to coming here is that if you could gather together people and organizations around a particular objective, in the case of workforce, that was job training, but here we're talking about small businesses and entrepreneurs. If you can gather together people who are interested in that, then each one of us can bring to the table whatever we have, and we can do some really great things and move some things forward. So in that space, we have corporations who are committed to the community. We have foundations. We have other non-traditional lenders and what have you. But small businesses are the backbone of our communities, the state, and our nation. And so we need people who care about that, who are willing to make that commitment.
And I think sometimes along those lines, we look at the community colleges on up. Sometimes we forget to look on down. The high schools are doing a lot of innovative things with entrepreneurship that they weren't doing years ago. I've talked to people that their entire states are developing entrepreneurship curriculums that are being taught in that 9th through 12th grade. So you're getting dual enrollment programs. I know at Rio Salado they do a lot here in Arizona with their dual enrollment program and their entrepreneurship courses. So don't always just look up and around you. Don't forget to look down into the high school and who's feeding you into your programs.
So real quick, sitting here thinking about non-traditional partnerships, I think a psychiatrist would probably be really good for me to partner with. We are dealing with entrepreneurs. But one of the other ones that we recently really partnered with was our Career Development Center on our campus at Gateway. That proved to be incredibly valuable to us because they help us with internships or experts in SolidWorks. They got us access into those classrooms to talk about what our clients are doing, and for those students to be able to come over, work with a real world, live company, and to be able to put that all on their resume is just an amazing thing to have happen.
Excellent, excellent. So I think also as we sort of end our time together, that we really, I think, know who you are, think about how you deliver that message, whether it's through stories or data, but I think continually, like, look around. I mean, I feel like just with your story about Amazon, it's like, oh, this is right in front of me. Let me see. Let's try it. And so I think as we all sort of move through the rest of the conference, I'd like to make a call to action that just ask. Just continue to ask. If you have a question, the person that's standing next to you dying for coffee, that's not me, will, probably know the answer. Like, just keep on asking, and you'll sort of learn through this process. So please help me thank our panel for sharing their expertise today.